So we're going to talk about functions. What are functions? Any idea?
Aren't they like kind of, it's like when you have repeated code in your program, so you like define it once so you can reuse the function kind of.
Exactly. Okay. So let's say you want to use a set of code multiple places, right? So you can define, so different loops, and function is that loop will only repeat the consecutive statement. Let's say there are 5 statements. I need to repeat at the same place 5 times. So you use loop. But functions, you can use it once at one place, then again once at some other place, and again at some other place, right? Okay, and the main advantage of using function is that if you have a complex logic, right? So you write it once and you can use it at any place, any multiple places, right? So that's the advantage of using function. So we will learn how to create such functions. And if function is written, let's say I write a function and I can pass that function to you, you can use it, right? When you write a function, you can pass it to your, to your colleagues, to your brother, and they can start using it. Okay, you don't have to recreate the same thing again and again. That's the beauty of function. Okay, so we have seen print, scan, input. These are these are called inbuilt functions. See, when we say print or when we say cat, it displays on the screen, right? What code is written, we don't know, right? And it's we don't need to know, because as long as it's performing what we need to do, why do we need to know? Exactly, right? These are called inbuilt functions because these comes with Python installation. The developers of developers of our program, they have developed these functions, and it is available the moment you install R. Okay, you can use it in R. The function that we will be writing, they're called as UDF, user defined function. Okay, so we will learn how to create user defined function. So function, there are two things that you have to remember. Okay, they have something called as arguments and return type. So arguments are,
Excuse me.
sorry,
It, can you explain while loops again?
while loop again. Okay,
Yeah.
so yes, of course I can. uh, um, uh, what is for loop, you tell me?
For loop is when it like keeps repeating something until that specific operation is completed.
No, that is while loop. Okay, you keep repeating until it meets a requirement or you are done with it. That's while. For is when you know exactly how many times you need to run. I need to do 10 times. Okay, okay, I need to do. Okay, uh, what we are doing, talking about while, is an example of while condition. So we are repeating it, okay, till we get it, right? In for, it is like, okay, we'll do it 5 times. Even if you get it in 2 times, still we'll do 5 times. Even if you don't get in 5 times, still we'll do it 5 times. That's for how many times you need to do. Okay, in while you don't know. So okay, and you need to, so let's say I need to get, or I need to print. Okay, let's take simple example. So I have a value, okay, uh, equal to 5. Okay, let's start writing something like this. So I have a value 5 and I need to print it till user says yes. Till user says yes, I need to print it. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll assume that user said yes. Okay, if you want to print at least once, or you can write here, you can assume that user said yes, and I'm going to say user says. Okay, so user says, Yes. Okay. I've assumed user said yes, and I'm going to say while. Okay, while condition, right? So while is always followed by condition, right? So okay, I've assumed the user says yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the condition. Okay, user says equal to yes. So if user says yes, okay, you are getting in. Okay, so whatever I write here, okay, print hello, or let's say print value that you want to print it. Okay, so here you have while and the condition, and if the condition, see, somehow you have to get this condition true. Okay, condition true will only help us to go inside while. If I don't get it true here, if I get it false, then you won't be able to go inside the while condition. Okay, so if I don't say user says equal to y, if I say user says equal to n, okay, now when I run it, it did not execute, it did not print anything. Okay, because we said user says equal to n, and if user says equal to y only, you get inside y. Okay, we are saying user says n, so n not n equal to y will give us false, isn't it? So that while false will not go inside the bracket. If I say while true, only then it will go inside the bracket. Okay, so when I said while equal to n, it did not go inside. Now what I can do is I can say while equal to y. So you see, y equal to y. So this is true. So when I say while true, okay, now it is true, it will go in. Okay, so if I run it, okay, I'll put it here, and then I'll run the source. Oops, value 1, right? Not value 1. See what has happened? I'm saying ch equal to y, okay, or user says equal to y. So when I say while user says equal to y, answer is yes. It went in, it printed the value. Value 1 is 5, so it printed 5. So when the bracket ends, right, it will not go to line number 7. It will go to the beginning of the bracket again, the while condition. So it goes here. If I can have multiple lines of code, if I have multiple lines of code inside the bracket, it will execute multiple lines of code. And when it comes here, bracket close, it goes up. And see, user says is still y, right? It is true. So it went in, printed value 1, again bracket close, so goes up. User says is still y, again it goes in. User says is still y, again it goes in. User says still, says y, yes, it goes in. So that's why we have run into what is called as infinite loop. It will go on forever. If you leave your laptop, open for overnight, it will keep on running forever, right? So you need to check some condition, right? So I'm here, okay. I'm going to ask the user to input a value. Okay, how do I read a value from the user?
You use user input.
User input, right? So I'm going to say user says, okay, equal to, okay, okay. What is that? How do you read the input from the user?
Wait, what?
How do you read the input from the user?
In a
What
string.
function? What function do we use? Let Keshav answer.
I don't remember.
You can check your notes.
It's like as dot
Before that,
string.
so that is to convert, right? That's not to read. Before that, what do we have?
Uh, like a variable.
Yes, variable equal to what?
Oh, read line.
Read line. Yes, the read line or scan. Okay, so scan you can use. You can get multiple. You can read multiple values from the user. Read line is to get one line, right? So you say user says equal to read line. Okay, read line. So now it will allow you to read the input from the user. And if you want, you can give a message here. Do you want to continue? Okay. And if I say yes, it'll go up again. Now here you don't have to do as dot integer because I'm comparing character only, right? And this will give us character. By default, read line will read character and we want character. So we don't have to perform as a dot integer or as dot character. Okay, if the input was a number and then we want to convert into a character, we would have said as dot character. But here, since the input is also a character, we don't have to convert into character again. Okay, directly we can run it. So now when I run it, so it's asking me, do you want to continue? I say yes. Again 5 is printed. Again, so again, okay, I say yes. So it goes up and checks the condition. User says y equal to y. It is true. So it goes inside. Prints 5 comes here. Again, it's asking you, do you want to continue? Again, I say yes. Okay, it goes up. So it'll go on till I say yes. The moment I say n, okay, or any other thing, because even if I say small y, because small y is not equal to capital Y, right? And when I say enter, it stopped because small y is not equal to capital Y. So condition is false. When it is false, it doesn't go inside, it goes to line number next here. This line will be executed. Okay. So from this bracket till this bracket, the code is ignored if the condition is false. If while condition is false, while false, it'll ignore from that curly bracket to its corresponding curly bracket, right? The pair. Okay, those content is completely ignored, goes to next line. In this case, we don't have anything next any next line, so it's stopped. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keshav, any questions so far?
No, I get it now.
You got it. So please practice. Okay, okay. So I'm sure if you practice, it will be even more clearer, and you'll be more comfortable. Practice is the only thing that will make you comfortable, right?
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Perfect. Sure. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back to our function discussion. So function is block of code that we give a name. Okay, so basically we have this set of code or set of lines. We want to give it a name. Okay, so just like we all have our names, right? The reason we have name is we don't have to describe. Um, if I call your name, you know that I'm calling you. Okay. Otherwise, if we all did not have names, then if you have to call me, you would call me the one that takes the class, and one that speaks that way, one that looks that way, right? It becomes difficult, right? It becomes complex to then refer someone, right? So same thing, okay? It is to avoid complexity, okay? Okay, so of course, learning name is a complex thing, but once you know the names of individual, your friends, for example, okay, first time when you met them, probably would have taken you a day to remember the names, but now it becomes so easy. So it's like when you are remembering the names, that's when we write a function, right? Once we write a function, then it becomes so easy to execute it. Okay, so okay, so functions has a three part. Okay, when you're designing a function, it will have three part. First part is called arguments. Okay, second part is called um, function body. Okay, so let me write it. Arguments, uh, function body, return type. Okay, now function body is the easiest thing. That's the logic. Okay, I have to add two numbers, so that's the logic. Okay, I need to read a file, perform something on it, and save it to a file. That's the logic. Okay, so whatever we have done so far, right, using if and for loop, those are called logic. Okay, so function body will have the logic. Okay, so we have done it, so it's not a big deal. What is argument and what is return time? Okay, so okay, in 10 minutes meeting will end. Please do join back. Okay, we'll have for another 40 minutes or so. Okay, so what are arguments? Arguments are the values that we give to the function. Okay, um, see, function is a set of code which is not part of your main function or main body. Okay, what we have done here, what you see here is the main body, right? And I can define a function. That function will not be called until we specifically call it. Okay, so I give this bad example, but this will be helpful for you to remember. Let's say you need to get a photocopy done, right? So when you go to a photocopy, you may not have photocopy machine at home. Like this printer has photocopy, so probably you can do that. But let's say you need to do something, uh, uh, you don't, let's assume you don't have photocopy machine. The reason we don't have photocopy machine is because we don't do photocopies every day, right? Once in a while we might need it. So if you need it once in a while, then why do you buy and put at your home, right? You'll have a um, FedEx or that kind of stationery will have those photocopy machine, right? So you go there and you say that I need to do photocopy. So photocopy is the logic, the function body. But to do that, you need to give your document to that guy, isn't it? So giving the document to the guy is the argument. So he cannot perform photocopy until you give them the original copy. Original copy is an argument. It's something using which you cannot, okay, um, uh, perform logic. So the photocopy guy will ask you, give me the original copy. So you'll give the original copy. Okay, that guy will perform the logic of photocopy and then gives you back. Of course, you'll get original, but along with original, you get the photocopy. The output will be given to you. So what is doing is he's returning you the photocopy paper or the copy of your original. So return is what you get back. Argument is what you give to the function. The reason why you give a value argument is because your original is different, right? If you go to a photocopy guy and guy says, okay, give me your original copy, I'll do the photocopy. You can't say that I don't have it, can you use something of your own, right? Because photocopy is not common, right? What you need, you have to give the original. You cannot say, okay, give me any photocopy, right? So the reason is that in that way If that guy says, no, I'm going to give you only my photocopy paper, I will not accept any other, will you go to that guy? No. Okay. So for the arguments make functions more usable. Okay. Okay. If that guy sells, okay, when you go to a bookstore, right, not to a photocopy guy, he'll have few books. So he's selling few books. So so you go and you pick the book of your choice and you get it home. That's an example of a function not having any input values or arguments. Okay, arguments are the input values. So it's like, because that guy has a pre-printed book, right? If you need it, you buy it. If you don't need it, you won't buy. So people who go to that store will of course not take a original copy and say, give me the photocopy, right? People would go and buy new books, right? So that's an example of function without arguments, without input values. They don't need your input. The bookstores, they don't need your input. You go, you see, you pick it up and you bring it home, right? So you can have a function without arguments. Doesn't mean that every function should have argument. Okay, but giving argument will make it more generic. Okay, particular motion, whatever book you take, they'll give you whatever thing that you take over, single paper book or whatever you take, they will give you a copy of that. So that's an example of function with argument. Okay, and then return type is what you get. So when you go to a bookstore, right, the guy will give you a book. So you can, that's an example of function which does not take argument but gives you return value. So you buy the book of your choice, you get home. That's an example of function without argument but giving you a return value. Okay, going to photocopy shop, you giving your document and getting a copy of your document. That's an example of function with arguments and with return type. Third type is function without return type. Okay, so when you go to a restaurant, right, and you order food, you eat and you come home, you don't get anything, right? You that's for consume. So that's an example of logic itself, right? You're eating food in restaurant, it's a logic, and you eat and you get. So not every function should return a value. Not every function should take input argument, right? But input argument return type makes it more useful. Okay, and that's why we try to write a function which takes input and gives return values. Okay, that makes it more usable, but not always your function will have that. Okay, so I told you, right, that's a bad example. Even if you don't understand it, that's okay. Let me explain it to you with a good example. Okay, good example is your R example. Okay, so let's look at the logic, how it is written. The first thing that you have to look at is that the function will have a name. I told you, right? So I'm going to say my sum. Okay, slash my sum. So my sum is a function which I am, okay, I want to write, okay, or I want to give a name. Okay, fine. So I have my sum, and this is the syntax. Syntax is the grammar. Okay, okay. Now grammar, you can't ask question. When I say I am, right, it has to be ing, right, with the verb going, eating, sleeping, jumping, right. So that's called grammatical rule, right? Because you have to learn that way. There's no way you can write your own stuff, right? You can't play with the grammar. Same thing here. We call it syntax. Syntax is nothing but the grammar rule of programming languages. Okay, so you cannot play with syntax. Syntax is something that you have to follow. Okay, so when you're declaring a function or when you're creating a function, it will have a name. Okay, my sum is the name, and followed by function. Okay, this indicates that my sum is a function. Okay, now if your function has input values, has argument, the point number one, you will have to put it within this simple bracket. If you need to pass the value, I told you, not always you will need to pass the values. Yes, 80% time, 70% time you will, but still 30% time you won't, right? So it's not mandatory that you should have input arguments. Okay, so my sum is a function, and I've seen equal to function. My sum equal to function, bracket open. If you need to pass any value, you will pass it here. Otherwise, you will leave this simple bracket blank. Now indicating the body, right? To indicate body, you have to have a curly bracket. So whatever you put within the curly bracket is your function body. The logic. Okay, logic is I just want to print. Okay, hello there, print, how are you? Okay, print, let's meet soon. Okay, so let's say these are the 3 lines of code that I want to give to the function. Fine, so you give these 3 lines of code. Now this function does not take any input value and does not return. Return has to be the last line. If you are returning, we'll see an example of return type as well. Okay, so if you are returning, it has to be the last line, because anything after return means you're coming out of the store. Okay, so that's the end of the function. Okay, anything that you write after function will not be executed, will not be called by the program. Okay, return means you're done. So in this case we don't have return. Okay, that's also fine. Okay, so in that case we don't have return, it will execute till the last line of the function. How do you know the size of function? The bracket will tell you. Okay, the open bracket and the closed bracket, whatever you type